What is up, guys? It is AJ. So Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2 goes down this Saturday, July 29th. It's the UFC 291 main event, and the BMF belt is on the line. I really love this rematch, and I know that the BMF belt is kind of like a 50-50 split in a love-hate relationship by UFC fans. Personally, I'm on the love side. I always like seeing fighters get belts, and the opportunity for them to get more money is pretty awesome, and BMF is just badass overall. Now, it's a huge matchup here that really sets the winner up beautifully for not only a potential title fight for the actual, lineal, true, undisputed belt, but potentially the McGregor sweepstakes, maybe a Volkanovski fight. We'll talk what I think could be next for the winner towards the end of the video. Here, I'm going to give you guys my preview and prediction for this matchup here, as well as talk about the betting odds for the fight. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe as well. First, let's talk a little bit about Dustin Poirier. He does have a win over Justin Gaethje previously in what was a fight of the year at the time. Now, looking at the past few for Justin Gaethje, we dig back, let's say, to the last 4 fights. It was a win over Conor McGregor by knockout. He legitimately dropped him with the left hook and then followed up with shots. It was a beautiful W. He ripped apart Conor McGregor's calf, something that he kind of adopted from fighting Justin Gaethje. Beats McGregor in their rematch, and then they do the immediate trilogy. Now, Conor McGregor's ankle/leg snapped in that fight there, so it was a bit of an inconclusive ending, though Dustin Poirier was definitely starting to win that fight and backing Conor McGregor up. McGregor had big moments hitting him with heavy shots, but Poirier was continuously walking Conor McGregor down there. And, regardless of the injury that Conor sustained, it looked like Poirier may have been on his way to a win. Still, it's inconclusive for a lot of us because they were 1-1, and then it's 2-1 now favoring Poirier, but an injury knockout, which nobody wants to win like that. And then after he beat Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier was jumped in to the world title fight. He took on Charles Oliveira, and he met the fate that many did against Oliveira, which is he lost the fight by submission, specifically rear naked choke, which is, I'm going to say, somewhat of the kryptonite for Dustin Poirier against guys who are really capable on the ground. Though Oliveira had the significant advantage in the grappling, it was almost like Dustin Poirier fought that fight fearfully. And you see with, Charles Oliveira, many strikers specifically are very fearful of following him up to the ground, which is why he can get rocked, being Oliveira. Dustin Poirier was cracking Oliveira with big shots. Oliveira goes down. Poirier very reluctant to follow up with big strikes. And then obviously you saw Islam Makhachev hurt Oliveira, follow up, get an arm triangle, do what Poirier and a Gaethje and a Michael Chandler, well, maybe not so much Michael Chandler, he's a little more confident on the ground, but at least Gaethje and Poirier were very fearful of, entering grappling situations with an Oliveira, even after hurting him. And then you look at the most recent fight for Dustin Poirier. It was a pretty awesome back-and-forth war with Michael Chandler that he ended up finishing. He got a rear naked choke in that fight, so got himself a rear naked choke. A little bit of, comeback for the strangles because he tends to be the one, losing by a rear naked choke against some of the better guys. And Michael Chandler, pretty top tier. And I would say he's like, top 7 type, but freak athlete for sure. And I feel like Dustin Poirier there showed that he's dog tough as always. Even Michael Chandler fish hooking the hell out of him. Dustin Poirier was able to overcome a bit of fouls and get himself a finish. So if you look at the resume as of recent for Dustin Poirier, it's off the charts. A loss to Charles Oliveira is no shame, really. And he still went long. He entered the 3rd round with Charles Oliveira. Now on the opposite side, we have Justin Gaethje. We'll preview his last 4 as well. And if you look, Gaethje's last 4, right? Khabib Nurmagomedov was the 4th fight ago, and he lost that fight by beautiful triangle choke. It's Khabib. That was the final fight for Khabib nearly 3 years ago now, 2 years and 8 months ago. And, Justin Gaethje, not overly expected to win that fight, right? Most people thought that Khabib would get him. I did think Gaethje had a real chance, especially chopping the low kicks. I remember at the time I picked against Khabib. I said Gaethje's low kicks will be the biggest difference maker, and he was kicking up Khabib, but Khabib's confidence and pressure was off the charts, and he got Gaethje. No shame in losing there. Michael Chandler, back and forth war between him and Gaethje. Early in that fight, though, Michael Chandler did have good success with the boxing, but later on, I mean, Gaethje hurt him bad on a couple of occasions and finished that fight as the clear winner. And then after that win for Justin Gaethje, he was given Charles Oliveira. He got rear naked choked, as we saw with Dustin Poirier, but, you know, it didn't go nearly as long. It was a one-round fight, and actually Justin Gaethje was brutally hurt by a big punch by Charles Oliveira on the feet. Shows Oliveira's Muay Thai striking skills, overall kickboxing game, specifically even his punching, is pretty off the charts, especially with the lead hook. Putting down a Gaethje is no easy feat. And then after that one, he came back this 4 months ago. He got a majority decision win over Rafael Ataman Fiziev. I did think he deserved the decision. I thought he got 2 rounds there. Fiziev is, you know, a top-tier striker, and for Justin Gaethje to go out there and outstrike someone who is a head striking coach of Tiger Muay Thai, that's impressive as hell to me. So Justin Gaethje right now is riding high off of a win where he honestly has showed an evolved striking game, right? If we look at Justin Gaethje when he fought Dustin Poirier the first time, I would say that he was, you know, fairly weak in his defensive capabilities. I think that he's definitely evolved overall. His striking defense is better, his movement is better, as well as his overall patience is better now. He seems more poised and relaxed inside of the cage, and he picks his shots a bit better. Rips calf kicks as always, still has big punches, definitely has a very massive right hand. And I feel like in this fight here with Dustin Poirier, Gaethje from distance, especially if he's ripping at legs, is always going to be super dangerous. And you know that his, takedown defense normally is pretty damn quality. He's improved since the first fight for sure, but I feel I can say the same about Dustin Poirier. I do believe Poirier still will have better boxing. When you look back to that first fight, and when I went back and rewatched it, I was like, wow, Dustin Poirier is clearly the better boxer in the close range. And that's going to be a big factor in this fight. Now, Justin Gaethje was destroying Poirier's legs in that first fight, and if you look, Dustin Poirier after that developed calf kicks of his own. And even if you look to the fight right before Justin Gaethje versus Poirier won, actually Poirier was struggling with Jim Miller's calf kick, so it was kind of a potential chink in the armor then. He evolved and added that into his repertoire and was able to really fuck up Conor McGregor's calf in their matchup. So I do believe Poirier learned a lot after that Gaethje fight. Now, Justin Gaethje, dog tough, was taking big bombs, but Poirier was definitely outboxing him. He was up 2-1 at the time of the stoppage in round number 4. And ultimately, the third round, which Justin Gaethje was the winner of, he lost a point because the eye pokes. And honestly, I think that most of us were forgetting how, damaged Dustin Poirier's eye was because of a couple pokes from Justin Gaethje. He was bleeding, it was swelling. Poirier still was able to come after him and get, a 4th round knockout. I feel like Poirier is nasty in the boxing out of the southpaw stance, evolved with the calf kicks a bit. I do think he's going to put the pressure on a Justin Gaethje and close that distance similarly to what we saw in the first one. I think that maybe they'll be a bit more calculated early though, but ultimately after the first 2 minutes, I see them, kind of engaging in another war. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight here is a back and forth similar to last time with Poirier outboxing him, Gaethje ripping heavy kicks, even landing some big punches. But Poirier at this point I feel is more powerful than before. I do believe if you look at his frame digging back to their first matchup to, let's say, Dustin Poirier's last fight, he's put on a little bit of muscle, which I do think is going to be a positive factor in his punching power. Now, Poirier out of the southpaw stance, with the boxing advantage, with the evolved game with the lower half, meaning the calf kicks specifically, not only his offense with the calf kicks, but I expect improved defense with the calf kicks. Because at the time that Gaethje was ripping the calves of Poirier, that was kind of a newer move in MMA. Now, obviously, Benson Henderson was like the creator of the calf kicks. He was never really doing significant damage to guys with those calf kicks. Justin Gaethje could probably, rip a tree apart with his calf kick. So expect Poirier to be cognizant of the fact that Gaethje rips heavy to the legs. I still think Poirier's boxing is going to be better. I think he's going to land the bigger strikes on the inside. So how is the prediction going to go? I am going to pick Dustin Poirier to win this fight. I think he's going to get a knockout / TKO in round number 3, and watch for the straight left from the southpaw stance. Gaethje, it's not that he, is easily hittable, but, there's somewhat of a squareness to his stance that a beautiful straight left from a guy with pretty tight boxing like a Dustin Poirier can land. So that's what I'm feeling is going to happen here. I think that Dustin Poirier is going to land that big money punch and get another win. So the pick is Dustin Poirier. Now, I do want to talk about the betting side a little bit. If you are betting it, make sure to bet responsibly. The odds for the matchup have Dustin Poirier as a favorite here. He's sitting around -150 as the favorite. Justin Gaethje a +130 underdog. Now, Gaethje originally opened up at just +105. The money was definitely closer earlier on to Dustin Poirier as the -125 favorite. This fight is also very interesting with the over-unders. If you go over 2.5, it's -120. Under 2.5 is -110. I do think Dustin Poirier is going to win as the slight favorite. I also think knockout is likely. This fight ending inside of the distance is highly likely as well. I'm picking the side of Dustin Poirier to get it done and go 2-0 over the likes of Justin Gaethje and getting the BMF belt and new BMF champ. And I think it makes a lot of sense that Dustin Poirier will be the BMF champion. Now, to speculate a little bit, what would be next? Dustin Poirier wins this fight against Justin Gaethje. He's kind of in a logjam at the top. Now, having the BMF belt can definitely warrant an immediate title fight, similarly to what an interim belt could, but it also gives Dustin Poirier the power to do whatever he wants. If he said, no, I'm moving up to fight X fighter, or I'm going to wait and fight another Z fighter, whoever. The matchups that I'm looking at for the lightweight division, right? We know that Islam Makhachev is set to rematch against Charles Oliveira, and you guys probably know my early prediction for that fight. I have to lean Makhachev to beat him once again, though I love Charlie O, and I'd be happy to be wrong with that pick there. And then we look at who's potentially next in line. Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev 2 is a fight that fans are asking for, I am asking for, and the UFC, specifically Dana White, is very interested in. And we know Makhachev and Volkanovski both want to do it again. Now, I don't know the timeline on return. It will depend upon how the Makhachev fight goes and if there's any significant damage that he would take with a win. Now, in an alternate universe, if Charles Oliveira is successful and beats Islam Makhachev, well, now we have a trilogy that has to happen. Dustin Poirier, realistically, could have a little bit of a weight to the title. It's going to be dependent upon what the UFC decides to do with Alexander Volkanovski. Maybe he fights Ilia Topuria next, and then, the Makhachev timeline for Poirier works out if he beats Charles Oliveira. But maybe Volkanovski is fighting a Topuria, and then they want to set up, a rematch of the super fight. So Dustin Poirier is out waiting. Is he going to say, okay, I'm not going to fight? I'm just going to wait for my chance to take on the winner of that matchup. Maybe Volkanovski somehow will want the BMF belt. He did speak upon being interested in the BMF title, but honestly, I think it's more likely you see Volk moving up to fight the likes of Makhachev again. So I'm thinking this. For Dustin Poirier next, who is it going to be? Well, we know Conor McGregor is going to call out the winner without a doubt, regardless of who wins, Gaethje or Poirier. I know that Conor McGregor wants to add a new belt to the collection, and I think the BMF title is what he'll have his eyes on, and if he was able to beat a Poirier or Gaethje for the BMF belt, Conor McGregor is now back fully in relevancy, and they're going to give him a world title fight against whoever he wants. It could be Leon Edwards or it could be Makhachev, depending on what weight class he wants to be at. And the good thing about the BMF title is it is not weight class specific. So I am going to predict that not only does Dustin Poirier win this fight, but the UFC is going to want to set up the quadrilogy with Conor McGregor. Now, some will say, wait, he's supposed to fight Michael Chandler. He's coaching against him on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't think Conor McGregor is interested in fighting Michael Chandler. I think he used the platform of, getting fans excited about a comeback for him and, coaching The Ultimate Fighter as something to, bring him back to the limelight, though. Conor's always in the limelight. It's Conor McGregor. I think Poirier versus Conor McGregor is the quadrilogy. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to end up being for the BMF belt. It's going to be early in 2024. McGregor's going to be stoked on getting a chance to fight for another title. And I feel like the UFC has to capitalize, because if Poirier is victorious here, let's be honest, regardless of him being up 2-1 against Conor McGregor, the last fight was a leg break. It wasn't a clear victory, and there was still strong beef after the fight. Conor McGregor saying that Dustin Poirier's wife was in his DMs.
Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby, hit me back up on chat till later on. We'll be at the after party, the Win nightclub, baby.
And shit like that. So I feel as though the quadrilogy makes a lot of sense. Both guys, bitter rivalry against one another, disdain for each other. I think they have to face off for a fourth time. And with the BMF belt on the line, that will be one of the biggest pay-per-views in a very long time for the UFC. And it's a money machine. It's a business. And the UFC is looking for what's going to deliver the revenue. And don't tell me Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier for the BMF title isn't a huge fight. It absolutely is. And that's something that I'd want to watch. And I'm going to predict that if Dustin Poirier wins, which I think he's going to, that it is going to be a Conor McGregor fight. This fight here actually is going to be the red panty night Conor McGregor fight sweepstakes. Obviously, there's so much money involved in fighting Conor McGregor, but also take into fact this. Now Dustin Poirier is going to get a real share of the pay-per-views having a world title, regardless that it's not a UFC official world title. It's the BMF belt. They're going to give you pay-per-view points if you have it. If Dustin Poirier is fighting Conor McGregor for that BMF title, I'm telling you, he's going to make more money than he's made in any other fight, and that would be the most financially sensible option for him, and he gets to run it back with his heated rivalry. And if he beats Conor McGregor 3-1, holy hell, for his legacy, that's huge. And then Dustin Poirier will get a world title shot after that, beating Conor McGregor again, regardless of Conor being on a 2-fight losing streak against the likes of Dustin Poirier. I do believe that's the fight that he wants. They're going to set up the quadrilogy. That's why they chose to do this fight for the BMF title. The UFC knows, Dana White knows that Conor doesn't want to fight Chandler. He wants to fight the winner of this fight. More specifically, though, he wants to run it back against Poirier and right that wrong, or really right the two wrongs. So yeah, count me in for the quadrilogy, and I think that it's going to be Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor 4 sometime in 2024 for the BMF title. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this more in-depth look at the matchup for this weekend's main event, as well as, you know, a little preview / sneak peek into what could be next for the winner of this fight. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn those post notifications on too. And don't just have them on personalized, put them to all if you do not want to miss a video. Let me know your prediction in the comments below, and also let me know if you agree that Conor McGregor is next, or do you think somebody else is next? I want to hear your take in the comments. If you have nothing to say in those comments, at the very least, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Much love, my people, and I will see you all throughout the entire UFC 291 fight week, and then capping it off with the UFC Fight Companion. Much love, guys. Peace.